Discover the best-kept secrets from the leading entrepreneurs across the globe. Learn from the greatest minds in business with the MyCoda podcast. Here's your host, Sam Payne.
Okay, good morning and welcome to another episode of the MyCoda podcast. Now, today we've got a very special guest on board with us. Nathan Chan of Foundr Magazine is doing some awesome things with his team over in Australia. And he has really done some crazy stuff with Foundr Mag and just brought it from strength to strength in the short 3-year time period that they've been running now. And for me personally, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Foundr. So to interview Nathan was very exciting. And what he's doing is just incredible. I mean, he's basically built a network for aspiring entrepreneurs to really find out the information they need to help them grow and develop their businesses. Now, Nathan started out just with the magazine, and it has naturally just formed into this online hub with a podcast, with a blog, with educational products. He's got various other projects are coming soon as well. I mean, him and his team are producing 5 products in the next 4 months, and I'm excited to see what comes from them as well, because everything they produce is just on point and just delivers above and beyond what we would normally expect value-wise. I mean, even Nathan's free content that him and his team are putting out through Foundr is better than most paid content out there. So, guys, if any of you are struggling, if you are, I don't know, if you're stuck for funds, maybe if you've not quite got the budget to spend thousands on mentors, then Nathan and the team at Foundr, I mean, even if you did have thousands, to be fair, they are just definitely the resource to go and check out. I mean, I've been familiar with Foundr for quite a while now. I mean, even back when they first started out, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd episode they released of their magazine. I was introduced to it by a friend, and I just fell in love with it straight away. I mean, it was just refreshing. It was different. It was almost made entrepreneurship cool, if that makes sense. I mean, it really was different from what was already out there, and they've just carried on with this brand and made it this super successful. Like I say, it's an online hub where you can just go and just learn everything you need to know. And I'm personally part of Nathan's Foundr Club, and even being part of that club has been an incredible experience. And just to be able to network with like-minded individuals across the world, and just if you've got any issues, it really is the place where you can put questions out and get the answers you need. So, I mean, hats off to you, Nathan, just for creating something that's completely unique and incredible for, I mean, guys who are just up and coming and struggling to find their way. So, guys, if you haven't already done so, please check out Nathan after this interview. And like always, guys, Nathan's going to give us all the contact details for him at the end of the interview, and I'll put those in the show notes below as well. So please feel free to reach out to him. Actually, he's more than happy to help. And that is it for the intro, guys. I'm going to leave this here. We're going to get on with this interview now because it is an awesome interview. Nathan gives above and beyond on the value front. So here we go with session 009 of the MyCoda podcast with Nathan Chan. Okay, good morning, Nathan. How are we doing today?
I'm doing awesome, Sam. How are you doing, my man?
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm such a fan of Foundr, so it's a bit of an honour today to have you on the show. So thank you for agreeing for the interview.
Sam, the honour is all mine.
Cool, man. Cool. So just for the guys out there that may not be familiar with you, could you just quickly introduce yourself and what it is you do? Sure.
So I run a digital media company called Foundr, and it's Foundr, Foundr, no E. And there's a whole story why we called it Foundr without the E. We can go into that if you want, but pretty much we produce content for entrepreneurs, in the forms of a monthly magazine, weekly podcast, high traffic blog, high traffic social, and we're starting to get into education products as well and all that e-learning stuff. And that's us in a nutshell. I've been lucky enough to, feature the likes of Richard Branson, Arianna Huffington, some of the most successful entrepreneurs around the world have blessed the covers of our magazine. Been running the magazine for 3.5 years. Started while I was working my day job. It took about a year to build it up. to replace my income, so I could leave my day job. Where everything digital, and that's us in a nutshell, man. We just produce a lot of valuable content for entrepreneurs and startup founders, and the reason it started was, this is my first job doing this kind of thing. I've never had a magazine, never knew anything about publishing, never knew anything about apps, never knew anything about content, editorial, marketing, just learning along the way. And it all started because I felt, as an aspiring and novice stage entrepreneur myself, that there wasn't really a magazine out there that I could relate to, or a source that I could go to that really spoke to me. And so I just kind of started the magazine, then it just kind of grew from there.
That's awesome, man. And so you could say, it's a very common trait amongst a lot of guys that are killing it at the minute, is they were setting up products or services that were serving themselves firstly, and then found that a lot of other people were having these issues. How soon after you launched Foundr did you discover that actually this was something that a lot of people were after?
Well, there are a lot of brands, entrepreneurial brands in the space that produce content. So I did know that there was definitely something there, and I did know that podcasts were an up and coming thing, because I was listening to podcasts, and just from speaking to peers and just looking around, and the internet's changed the game, and so many people now realize that you don't have to get a 9-to-5 job and do that job for 20, 30 years and then, or 40 years or whatever, and eventually retire. So there is a revolution taking place where a lot of people, through the power of the internet, are creating their own jobs. So I was aware of this, but the thing that I did that I think really helped get that cut through, really helped, take the brand to places that, other people can't, is I found a way to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. And I thought about the brand at a really deep level. I think what's really, really important was, we pay an amazing emphasis on design. We have a digital magazine, which is the face of our business. The content that we produce is extremely in depth, is extremely actionable, and the story of the brand is quite grassroots, as opposed to some of these big entrepreneurial brands that have been around since the dawn of time. So by differentiating ourselves in the marketplace and creating the kind of content that I wanted to read, it just kind of took off. But at the same time, it wasn't like, to answer your question, Sam, it wasn't like I was shooting at straws. Like, we know that there is a market here. We know that this is something that's growing. We know that podcasts are hot. We know that these brands are occurring, and we know that people want to know what it takes to build and grow a successful business. And I just launched. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the process and realized that this is what I was born to do, and then just grew it from there. But it really hit me probably the first month when I launched the magazine, because it was just a side hustle project. I didn't realize that 3.5 years later, we're working towards building a media empire. I didn't think like that. When I started, it was literally, I hate my job. I want to do something fun, something that excites me. I've identified there isn't a magazine in the space targeting aspiring novice stage entrepreneurs and also young entrepreneurs. Let's just start this thing, see what happens. And after a month of doing it, it was like, okay, well, we've produced one magazine issue. We're a monthly publication. People are paying now for this magazine. We need to make sure that they get that next issue, and just kind of took it from there. And then, that's when we came, I felt like I was onto something.
Yeah, and I mean, you touched on branding there, and I personally, I mean, I found I was actually always a fan of the Foundr Magazine, pretty much from the start, because a friend of mine put me onto it. And when you brought out your Instagram domination course, you gave away that free ebook, your first 10,000 followers, and your branding. I wasn't, I didn't have to know that was Foundr to know that was your giveaway, because the branding was so consistent from your magazine through to your giveaways. I mean, was your branding something? How much time, did you spend on the branding in the initial build up to the launch, and then has it changed at all since you launched, or have you kept it consistent from the start?
Yeah, that's a really great question. For the launch, I never really thought about it. To be honest, I only realized the power of branding since working with our art director, Karen Jane, and he taught me that. I didn't even know that. He taught me that, and I never forget, because to launch the magazine, it took me so long, and I went through 3 different graphic designers, and Karen was a little more expensive. And he said to, I said, I even said to him when I was engaging with him, I said, like, for the first time we're chatting, when I was, prospecting if I want to work with him, I said, oh, look, I said, this is kind of expensive. And he's like, yeah, look, the reason that's because I spent a lot of time on the magazine issues. And he's like, this is what you need to understand. He said, if you spend the time and go above and beyond in the early stages of building a brand, and you place an extreme amount of emphasis of importance of design and having a distinct look and feel, it will yield returns. He's like, trust me, Nathan, like this is where it's at. And I just kind of trusted him, and I like design, and the way that we've made it consistent is just from Karan creating our branding ID. Like he created that, and then we've just built upon that. Like, he didn't build our website. He doesn't do, all of our artwork or any of our collateral. He doesn't do all of it. He does some of it, but we've got an existing ID now. And in fact, it's only 3.5 years later, we've just created a branding guide to, give to, new team members, to brief people or designers that are doing work for us so they can get a feel and understanding of the brand. But it was something that developed over time. It wasn't something that I spent a lot of time on either. It's just kind of been a natural progression. And, a big part of branding is not just the look and feel, but also the story, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the marketing, the story, it's the message behind it. And I think the kind of the feel and the brand that we're going for and the story is grassroots, cool, funky, fresh, but shit that's actually good. It's not fluff. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that answers testament to, sometimes the higher the investment, the better the return. I mean, that just says it all there. And I mean, like I said, I love Foundr. I love everything you guys are doing. I'm part of your Foundr Club. And for anyone that's listening, like, if you're not part of that Foundr Club, you need to get on that. That is probably one of the best online hubs I've been involved in for entrepreneurial groups anyway. But from the start, I mean, was it always your intention to go forth with different products like your Instagram domination, your Foundr Club, or was it just your intention just to do the magazine? I mean, did you always see it growing the way it has done?
Oh, dude, I had no idea. Like, literally, I started with the magazine, and you know what? I'm very big on focus and patience. Now, patience is a hard one to say because I'm all about speed and I'm always acting with urgency. And, our team, like, I try and push very, very hard. And I'm like, always to the guys, like, how can we be faster? How can we be faster? How can we get this done fast? How can we execute this? But at the same time, I'm patient in the sense that I know it's coming. And I know that we're doing step by step, brick by brick, building this house. And when I first started out, man, like, it was just the magazine. I was in my day job, and my only focus and only goal was to produce an awesome magazine every single month with great content and to grow our subscriber base of the magazine. And that was my focus, to be honest, Sam, for I reckon the first year and a half. First year and a half, so I've been running for 3.5 years. And I didn't even have on my radar that we were going to get into education. We were going to get, creating a community, like a membership, which Founders Club. I had no idea. But the thing that I did really pick up was that if you're looking to build a successful media company, you're building a brand. And under that brand, you can have multiple assets. And now we have a product roadmap or an asset, every single product to us is an asset. And we have a product roadmap that we're working towards, which, eventually will involve thousands and thousands of products, whether it's a course, whether it's a book or a hardcover book. I just know that we've done a very good job on the front end. And, with the podcast, the blog, the social channels, we can do a better job with the blog. That's something we're focusing on, and all these other different social channels. So if we keep fueling that front end, producing amazing content, and, have a reasonably a strong amount of emphasis of, lead generation, speaking to our audience, finding out what they want, and then finding out the best way to serve them, we will just keep creating more things that they want. So in the first year and a half, had no idea, but as time evolved and I started speaking to people and researching and thinking about what does a successful media company look like? What does a successful business look like? It was just kind of a natural inclination, not just from a business model standpoint, but also from speaking to our community, finding out what they wanted, finding out what they were looking for, finding out where they were struggling. Because sometimes for some people, a podcast episode isn't enough. A blog post isn't enough. Sometimes people want their hand held throughout that process. Sometimes, and people want to connect with other entrepreneurs. It just depends where that person is at in our audience. And I think the thing is, the good thing to distinguish as well is every media company that produces content at scale, like what we're trying to do, producing content at scale, always has, regular content and premium content. Like if you look at, Apple, in the App Store, there's free apps and then there's paid apps. There's the freemium model, and then there's just 100% free apps with ads. It's the same thing. That's the exact same way I see it. It's premium content versus regular content, and it's a balance. I think where most media companies get it wrong is they think it's all about the eyeballs, and then it's all about advertising dollars, and it doesn't have to be. There's a new wave of content producers, publishing companies, media companies that are serving premium content in many different forms and shapes and sizes. Whether it's a paid newsletter, whether it's premium content behind a paywall, which is and plus a community, or whether it's e-learning online courses, whether it's events, or whether it's advertising. That's kind of what's happened, Sam, was a combination of listening to our audience, finding out what they want, finding out what they need, finding out where we can further serve, and then also looking at the business model and looking at the way things are moving in this kind of space that we're playing in.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And do you know what? I'd go as far to say, like, a lot of your, I'd say, all of your free content is, in my eyes, as good as premium content. I mean, I know a lot of guys who I talk to in Foundr are learning so much just from the content you're putting out in your blogs and your podcasts. Do you think, because people say you need on average 7 points of contact before you make a sale. So have you found that by putting out tons of free, really, really high quality content, that converts a lot easier to your courses and your membership clubs?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's an ascension model that takes place for anybody that's going down the customer journey or the product journey or the whatever that, 7 points of contact is, yeah, definitely. People buy from brands or other people that they know, like, and trust. And all we're trying to do is just build ridiculous amounts of trust. And if people don't buy any of our stuff, that's fine too, because our mission is to help and serve entrepreneurs. And, if our free content's doing the job, then we win. If people purchase any of our products, whether it's the magazine, the club, or any of our educational products or anything else, then we win too. It's still a win-win. But yeah, I agree. Definitely seven points of contact and producing high-quality content at scale not only allows, to add to those 7 points of contact, get people into your funnel and get them down that customer journey, but also it allows people to speak and share. And if you create stuff that is so awesome that could potentially change somebody's business or life for free, people are going to want to tell their friends. Now, I'm really curious. You said that one of your friends told you about Foundr. What was that first piece of you finding us? I'm curious.
Basically, I was sitting on a train, was heading into London, and I was going on about Forbes magazine. Forbes magazine, the online mag. And he was saying, dude, you've got to check out Foundr. Like, it's this new magazine that's hit the scene. I think it was the second or third episode you released. It was really early on. It was the one after your first one, because I remember your first one. It was a stock image, wasn't it? And I only learned that through being in Foundr.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like your first or second episode, and he literally had the link on his phone, and he showed me through his phone. And we were just going through it on the way up to London, because we had like an hour to kill on the train. And the second we got into London and I got some Wi-Fi, I was straight on there and subscribed to it and that. And it was just awesome. It was just the second I saw it, it was just, to be fair, visually, it grabbed me. Like the branding, like you say, it's fresh. And after engaging in your content, and it just sort of related to me, to be fair. The place I was in at the time, I was really struggling to find my feet in this new online world. And it just, I don't know, it just related to me, I just found something there that helped. And that was it for me, Oh,
well, thank you, man. Thank you for the kind words. But yeah, so I think if we produce awesome content at scale, 99% of our stuff is free. People, it builds trust, and that's something that I'm very, very obsessed with. Is trust building. If you go to our website, Sam, you will see, and we're about to launch a new version of the website. It's like 100 times better than what we already have. And if you go to the website, we're going to try and give you a free copy of the Richard Branson issue. You're going to see everywhere all the other, very well-renowned, rock star entrepreneurs and influencers in this space. You're going to see great design. We're going to, if you do, read any of our blog posts or listen to any of our podcasts or download any of our guides for free, you're just going to be blown away. And then, we're going to send you more epic stuff. And, there's your 7 points of contact. Yeah. You know what I mean? And also, I think I'm very, very big on trust as well. If the key things that people look for, a great book to really understand trust building is it's called Influence by Robert Cialdini. Brilliant book. I'm sure I know you got your book club and stuff. You might have read it, but fantastic book. That's all we're like. That's that's what I'm very, very obsessed and focused with.
And you've mentioned the Richard Branson in this interview a couple of times now. So, I mean, firstly, how difficult was it to get Richard Branson on board? And what was the knock-on effect from that? Were people more open to interviews and featuring in your magazine after you featured Richard Branson?
Yeah, look, it was difficult. And I think the most difficult part, Sam, was actually building the confidence to be able to think that we could feature him on a magazine that no one's heard of and that, had just launched. But where I built that confidence from was he's been on, the front cover of every single big magazine on the planet. and why couldn't he be on the front cover of Foundr? And we featured him for issue number 8, pitched 4 months in, so we're at issue number 4. And it was, I had to make a lot of phone calls, but, I just kind of grinded away. And at the time, right, that was my only focus. The magazine was my only focus. That's all I was obsessing about and thinking about, right? So, it was tough to be honest with you, but anything, to achieve anything like that is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
And, then it was amazing. It was a major pivotal point that really took the business to the next level. I think, when you look at businesses that are growing, there's definitely pivotal turning points, and that was one for us. And I hope that we have many more ahead of us, but that was the first big one that we had. And yes, it definitely allowed us to get in touch and do features with many more super successful entrepreneurs. But still, there are some that we cannot get in touch with, that say no all the time. That we just keep following up with, dude. Like, for example, the founder of Salesforce, not interested. Difficult times to get in touch with Mark Cuban or Elon Musk. We're trying to get in touch with Sophia Amoruso from Nasty Gal, but might have struck gold there, we'll see. But, and we'll try many times with her. So it's just really a work in progress, and, you just kind of work your way up.
Yeah. Those are some huge names as well, so I'll be ridiculously excited if you manage to get those guys on board, because there's some guys that I admire as well, to be honest with you. And we're kind of running a bit short of time now, so we can wrap it up with a couple more questions. Foundr's been a huge success, and you're just growing at such a rapid rate. It's unreal. But was there any point where, especially in the early stage, where you thought this isn't working and I might not carry on with this?
Yeah, man, all the time, dude. Especially in that first year, like, it was struggle town, man. And I never forget, like, one of my friends, he's in Founders Club. His name's Benny Sue. Like, you can ask him, Sam, ask him what I used to say to him in the early days, because I met Benny online, like when I first started, and I featured him on the front cover of issue number 2. And I remember saying to Benny, man, like, I was just like, we've got 100 subscribers to the magazine. Like, I can't wait till we get to 1,000, and I was so anxious, and I just wanted to come. And he's like, man, just be patient, dude. It will come. It will come. And, there was so many times I thought of giving it up. Especially, I remember, even like 10 months in, even after we featured Richard Branson, I remember I did a free call with this other entrepreneur. I can't remember his name. He was just like a blogger or something, and he wrote about startup stuff. And he said, I like to help founders and entrepreneurs. Like, I do a free 15-minute call, no expectations at all. And I actually signed up for that call. Really lovely guy. And I said, I just want to know if I've got product market fit, which is a term and concept from the lean startup methodology. If anyone listening to this, check out the book.
Another great book.
By Eric Ries, called, what is it called? Lean Startup. Lean Startup. Yeah, and I didn't even know if I'd had product market fit, and I was asking him, and he's like, dude, like, you got thousands of paying customers every month. He's like, why are you asking this, man? And it was just kind of like imposter syndrome too, man. So, like, yeah, for sure, I was thinking, maybe this isn't maybe this isn't going to work. What do I do? And just had to just keep, it's just your mind playing tricks on you, because then sometimes I'd be loving it. I'd be like, this is the best. I'm going to do this forever. And then sometimes I'd just get really down on myself. So there was many times I thought about giving up. There was many times where it wasn't working, and I just kind of pushed through. And that's why it comes back, like, when I was talking about patience. Yeah. Speed is important, but also patience and understanding that it takes time. It really, really does take time, dude, for the first year and a half, no one ever asked me to go on a podcast interview. Now I'm lucky enough that a lot of people ask me to go on, but it just really does take time, and we're doing okay, and we've had some success, but I feel we're just scratching the surface, dude. Like our brand and our work isn't, as a household name, and we don't, not everybody that knows entrepreneurship knows Foundr or is looking into this kind of stuff knows Foundr. We're probably only, within all honesty, like not even 1% of entrepreneurs know Foundr. So we're only getting warmed up and we're only scratching the surface, and that's what inspires me to keep pushing forward. That's what inspires me, and I think we had to be careful too, not just myself but our whole team included, that we are getting a lot of wins, and we had some losses. Like we didn't do as well when we wanted to do this Foundr Club launch, and it's because we got cocky and we were drinking our own Kool-Aid. And it's a good reminder, that we're not invincible, and things have to keep moving. You have to follow the process. You have to be patient, and it just takes time, dude.
Yeah.
But I hope that answers your question.
Oh no, it definitely does. It definitely does. And we're so glad that you have kept on, because what you've created is just amazing. And like I say, it's exciting to see what the future brings with Foundr, because it's you've done some great things so far. So we've got what time for one last question, I suppose. So I mean, you've interviewed a lot of very highly successful entrepreneurs. I mean, what's one key lesson you've took away from interviewing these guys? Who is it from, and why has it resonated for you so much?
There's so many, Sam.
That's a big question. I should have warned you.
That's all good, man. There is so many, and what I think would be relevant for people is one thing that the founder, and I already spoke about this, but I cannot stress this enough, is the founder of a company called Xero. It's amazing SaaS for accounting. I said, what's your biggest piece and piece of advice? And he said, speed and urgency. I'm always about speed of implementation. How can we get things done as fast as possible and just execute? So not just speed, but executing things, even if they might not work, even if you don't have all your ducks in a row. Just launch, just ship. I think that's what's so important that holds a lot of people back. It's just building this shipping and launching engine. Like right now, we're a team full-time of 7, and we've got a handful of contractors that also work with us, and we're trying to launch 4 products in the next 5 months. And that's pretty aggressive, right?
Yeah.
We'll do our very, very best, and we'll do a good job at it. But all about speed. And that's something I have to remind myself. Like I was on holidays around the States for about the past 5-6 weeks, and I let things slow down. I should have kept things moving at a really fast pace, and I think speed is really, really important, and that's something that I really took home, and I took that one from Rod Drury at least 2 years ago, and that's really hit home with me, and something that I've been very, very mindful of.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. And finally, Nathan, where can people find you online, and how can they get in touch with you?
So the best place you can find our work is if you just go to foundrmag.com, foundrmag.com. And by all means, you can hit me up on Twitter. It's just Nathan H. Chan.
Awesome. Nathan, thank you so much for coming on today. Like I said, a massive fan of your work and what you're doing with Foundr, and I'm extremely excited to see where you're going to take things. So thank you for coming on and giving us half hour of your time today.
Oh, look, thank you so much for having me, Sam. It's an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate your time also. And thank you for the opportunity to, talk shop and share this journey with your audience.
Awesome. Cheers, man. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, and that's it, guys. That wraps up another episode of the MyCoda podcast. So once more, just a big shout out to the Foundr crew and everything they're doing for the guys out there who are just starting out or developing their businesses. Massive thanks for Nathan for giving us 30 minutes of his time today and coming on and just sharing the Foundr story and how those guys started out, the struggles Nathan went through, and how he built it to the online hub that it is today. And guys, like I said before, if you haven't checked out Foundr Magazine, then please just click the links below, get in touch with Nathan and his team, and they'll be more than happy to help you out. It is honestly one of the best online hubs I could recommend at the minute, and something that is just going from strength to strength. So they're only going to be delivering more value as time goes on. So now is the time to get in there, guys. They've got such a backlog of just awesome content which you can start going through, and you can look forward to the stuff they're bringing out in the future. And that is it for that episode, guys. Now, like I've said before, we are still pushing for that new and noteworthy section. And I mean, the support we've seen from you guys so far has just been incredible. And we just want to say thank you, firstly, to everybody that has downloaded our podcast episodes, that's subscribed to the show, that's rated and reviewed our show, because it all helps so much with going towards that new and noteworthy section. And you might be wondering why I keep going on about it so much, but it really will make a difference, because it will get more ears on our podcast, it will get more people downloading the episodes, it will get us higher up in those rankings, and in turn, that will enable us to get more and more guests on our show. And we have had some amazing guests so far, some very big names, some hugely successful people, and I've got so many more coming your way, guys. Likes of Chris Brogan. I mean, I've just interviewed him, and his session will be coming out after Nathan's, and that was an unbelievable session. So in order for us to keep delivering this value to you guys, we need your support. But like I say, for the guys that have already shown your support, thank you so much for everything you've done so far. And if you do want to rate, review, and subscribe to this channel, guys, then just hit us up on the link below in the show notes. It will take you straight through to iTunes, and you can do everything through there. It will take you 2 minutes, and it will just help us so much with getting into that new and noteworthy section. And that is it, guys. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks again for listening in to another amazing episode of the MyCoda podcast, and I'll see you next time for session 0010 of the show. Thanks a lot. Have a good day, people. Goodbye.